I am quite mad. This should not be acceptable in this industry. So we're beefing hard right now. Like I said, I think this is unacceptable behavior from a company like this. I think it's extremely important that this gets talked about, and why this is problematic for many, many, many reasons. People need to know that this shit is happening, and Limited Run can't keep charging premiums for what they're doing here. So let's go ahead. Let's get into it. This is going to be the D Collector's Edition 3DO. I will try to explain as much as I know, and I'm going to try and give you guys as much context as I possibly can. So for those that don't know, guys, Limited Run is a limited print run service for retro games across various platforms. Not even just retro games. They actually do a lot of modern releases of older titles and some newer ones, a lot of indie releases, but they've gotten more into releasing older school games and games that are frankly very collectible to begin with, hard to get, etc. When they announced that they were releasing D on 3DO, you'll probably notice I have the PC edition here, and that is because they have pulled the 3DO version from the store. If you try to look up D the game, the only one that comes up is the PC version. But anyway, they announced this back in, I think it was February of last year. They announced that this was coming out. They were going to release it for PC, for 3DO, and I do have the 3DO version here. Here it is. It just showed up a handful of days ago, which is part of the problem here, right? So they announced this in February. I even have my purchase history here. This is my official receipt. You'll see that it says February 3rd, 2023. And they do mention in the notes, they say, hey, generally our production time for standard editions is 4 to 5 months, right? Understandable. And then if it says if you pre-ordered a collector's edition, which this is, it says it might take 8 to 9 months after the initial pre-order window for it to finish production and to get to you, right? So 8 to 9 months was reasonable. Now, the first issue with this whole thing is the fact that I got an email on April 27th saying that it had been delivered. This was over 14 months later. Over 14 months. Over a year. Just absolutely ridiculous, insane wait time. That alone, I was ready to be done with Limited Run. But honestly, that isn't even the biggest of our worries here. Let's fast forward to today, right? I'm browsing YouTube. I'm checking out what's on in my subscription feed. I'm seeing what's there. A video from Adam Koralik pops up, which I highly recommend this channel, by the way. I've been watching Adam for ages, and he is just a wealth of knowledge, a wealth of information. I think most of his content is just absolutely fantastic. Can't recommend it enough. And his video title is Limited Run Games Selling CDRs. Oof. It is an oof. And I just clicked on it thinking, I haven't ordered anything from them much at all recently, other than this one game, right? And so I click into the video, not expecting to hear what I'm about to hear. And it turns out that the whole thing is revolving around D on 3DO. And he's basically saying that there's a source that is basically confirmed that the version of D on the 3DO, shipped with CDRs, which if you guys aren't aware, CDRs are CD recordable discs. They are not pressed discs. They are very different from pressed discs. And why does this matter? Well, a pressed disc is much more prone to outlasting a CDR. Just the way that CDRs are manufactured, they are not meant to be a long-term storage medium. At all. Just period. They are meant to be disposable at the end of the day, if we're just being honest. And so, admittedly, Adam mentions that he doesn't have this fully confirmed. It's only one source, and he's just kind of going off what he has heard. But it's a possibility that this is the case. And I did a little bit more sleuthing, some more research, and I found some other videos. And it turns out it absolutely is 100% true. This is a video from Video Game Esoterica, and he opens a factory sealed copy that he received from Limited Run. He goes ahead, he opens this up, which I am certainly not going to do now, knowing what I know. But he opens it up, and you'll see, outside the long box, you get the kind of the chonker jewel case. And he opens it up, and he shows you the discs. And watch when he turns this disc around. So it's I believe a 5-disc game. But you can look at the bottom of that disc. If you know what CDRs, I mean, you can even almost see the burn marks of where they they just copied the data over. CDRs have a very, very unique, very identifiable look. You can see the ring. It is very clear what has gone on here. So these are all CDRs. Now, yes, they do have nice printed artwork on the front. You could basically do the same thing. You could do the exact same thing by putting a CDR into your computer and burning the data from a ripped copy of the game. That is essentially what they've done here. Obviously, this is legit, and turns out that Limited Run has released an apology statement, which we are going to read here. So this is what Limited Run, the company, had to say after getting called out on Twitter and such. They released a full statement here. This first paragraph is basically nonsense, but we're going to jump into the meat of it here. They say manufacturing games for hardware that is 30 plus years old presents a variety of challenges. We partner with one of the biggest disc replication providers in North America to press our physical discs, and despite researching original 3DO hardware and software extensively, we found quality and reliability issues when attempting to press 3DO discs in the traditional manner. In an attempt to offer full compatibility with original hardware, our disc replication partner was able to successfully manufacture the discs using a CDR format, which we believed would work across all commercially available 3DO systems. This process was professionally done and was used to ensure maximum compatibility rather than serve as a cost-cutting exercise. Now, I want to stress this part here very much because if you guys aren't aware, and I'm sure many of you aren't, the way that the 3DO works, it is using just standard CD technology. Here's the thing with the 3DO. Back in 1993, the idea of having like commercial, like basically consumer grade CD burners was like futuristic. Nobody had a computer with a CD burner. So the thing with the 3DO, and the reason this is important, is because the 3DO did not attempt copy protection whatsoever, and it also did not attempt region lockout. So there is nothing proprietary about the 3DO format at all. Like, seriously, none. These are just CDs that are being read by the machine. So the idea that this is somehow like some format that is hard to replicate and get working on all 3DOs, unless there is something that I don't know about how the 3DO works, I call absolute BS on this. They should have been able to print proper pressed CDs with no issues. I don't know what they're talking about when it comes to, oh, we couldn't guarantee compatibility on all hardware. It's basic ass Redbook CD. It makes zero sense. So anyway, we'll continue here. It says, we tested the discs on the 3DO consoles in our office, and all 5 discs from the game worked as expected. It was only upon shipping to our customers that we came to realize some users were experiencing difficulty. And the reason that they were experiencing difficulty is because CDRs are harder for older machines to read because the data is burnt in a different way, right? It's not pressed into the discs. And older lasers that are starting to fail, let's face it, just old hardware fails, these CDRs are harder for older 3DOs to read properly. We will not be selling or shipping further copies of the game, which is why you can't see the 3DO version on their site anymore, or future 3DO titles until the situation has been resolved. We are currently working with new partners to find a solution for traditionally pressed discs, and will offer replacement discs to all customers. So they are willing to offer replacement discs, but we have no idea how long it's going to take for those to show up, how long it'll take for those to be manufactured, what the RMA process is going to look like, you know, email chains back and forth trying to correspond. No clue there. We will keep customers updated as this progresses, but in the meantime, any customer who desires can request a full refund at limitedrungames.com/support. Please be reassured that D, the Collector's Edition, is the only game affected by this issue. Of course, the only one I happen to even care about. Further 3DO titles will not go into production until this issue has been fully resolved, and we are confident in full compatibility. Apologies again to our 3DO gamers. We will strive to do better. So I will say offering a full refund is a step in the right direction, but I just don't know how this happened. To me, it makes zero sense. This was even an approach that they figured would be acceptable. I really don't know. Because again, I mean, you look at a disc like this, right? You can see these are CDRs. Like, anyone that is into retro gaming and collecting physical media, it is blatantly obvious that these are CDRs. It's absolutely insane. So I don't know how they thought they were going to get away with this. Clearly they haven't, and they've been called out, and now they're trying to backpedal and try and do right. I didn't even mention the fact that this retailed for $69.99, or excuse me, $64.99. I paid over $70 with shipping to get this sent to me, only to find out that they literally just like burnt some discs off a computer. Anyways, guys, that is the full 3DO Collector's Edition scam summarized. Absolutely crazy that this happened. Needless to say, I'm pretty mad. I don't know what I'm going to end up doing with my copy. I will probably try and get my refund, but I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I don't want to flip it, right? Because I don't believe in selling something like this, knowing what I know. So anyways, guys, hopefully that was educational for you. And yeah, limited run, I am officially done with you. That's all I got to say.
But yeah, guys, this is absolutely wild. I just had to do this because I was so fucking mad when I saw this today. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. I wait 14 months for this, and this is what they provide. This is what they provide to the customer.